Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the March 2023. Wow, why does it say 2022? I'm pretty sure Adobe sent them to us that way, so I'm not claiming responsibility for that. Welcome to the March 2023 North America Virtual Mug. We are your leaders. I am Sydney Mulligan, co-founder of Emmy Collective. Natalie, Jackie, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Jackie. Sorry, Natalie.
How about you, Jackie? You go first, and then Natalie.
I'm the marketing operations manager at BombBomb, and I'm based in Northeast Nebraska.
I'm Natalie Kramer. I'm senior manager of consulting services at Atumos. I'm based out of Dubuque, Iowa. So Jackie and I are holding up the Midwest on the call today. And Sydney, you're not sharing yet, so we might want to share out the deck.
I'm not. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for that. I can't find my share. Oh, here we go. Surprise, here we are. Okay, so that's us. Adobe Marketo Engage User Group House Rules is the same as every time, but biggest thing, don't be a jerk, don't sell anything, don't contact people outside of this group without their consent. If anyone is so kind as to share a specific use case or question they have about something going on, don't tell anyone about it. Don't share that information without their consent. What you say here stays here. This is a safe space. That's how we make it a safe space. We are recording this meeting, as you heard our Zoom robot tell us earlier. If you do not want to be on the recording, then now is the time to leave. We will miss you, but you can catch the recorded meeting in Bevy, and it will be posted on the Mug YouTube channel. This is not January 25th. Sorry, today is March 9th. 2023, and it is 1 p.m. Eastern time. So that's it. That's your official notice that the lawyers make us tell you we're recording this. Speak now or forever hold your peace. If you would like to know when our next meeting will be, first of all, why don't you volunteer to speak at it? And then we'll set the date. Secondly, you can go to mugs.marketo.com and find the North America Virtual Mug and sign up for updates from our chapter by joining the chapter, and then you will get a notification anytime a new event is added. We would love to see you at a future meeting. Adobe Summit, big news, everyone. Adobe Summit back live and in person in Las Vegas. Some people like Las Vegas, I do not. March 19th to the 23rd, very, very soon. If you are going to Summit, you probably already know by now, but if you can swing a last minute trip to Vegas, this is your notification. Adobe Summit is happening. It's going to be exciting. There's an app and other cool stuff. Lots of sessions. You can learn about every Adobe product in the world. When you get these slides, you can download this letter to send to your boss that they will read and say, wow, what a worthwhile investment of both time and resources. And you can go to Adobe Summit. Apparently 97% of people would likely attend Adobe Summit 2023, and I hope you are one of those 97%. There's also a B2B marketing track that is now live, and you can go see all the stuff on it. There are lots of sessions. B2B marketing stuff is mostly Marketo, so that's great. There's going to be an innovation super session, some trainings, 20 breakout sessions. There's some great speakers. It's going to be a great time. So you can click this link when you have it to go look at the full session track and learn more about Adobe Summit. And mostly you'll get to meet lots of fun Marketo users in real life. The biggest value of going to Summit for sure. Other things you can do. You can apply for the Adobe Experience Maker Awards. The deadline is March 17th, which I believe is next Friday. There are 15 award categories. I think this is what replaced the Revies at one point in time, but it is no longer part of Adobe Summit. It is now a separate in-person gala in June in New York City. So it could be fun. And if you get a trophy, I don't think they're doing those purple letter jackets anymore, but maybe if you asked really nicely, they might dig one out of the closet for you. Champion office hours. If you would like to travel back in time a few hours, you could go to that. It was this morning. But I do think that they're doing these monthly. It's a great time. You can bring your questions, technical stuff, talk to some Marketo champions about what you're working on, what you're stuck on, what you have questions about. And I usually see these posted all over LinkedIn. So I don't know when the next one is. I'm sorry you missed this one. Unless you went, I hope it was great. And a new webinar series, more stuff from Marketo Champions. The next one is on March 14th, where they will be talking about the Adobe Marketo Engage certification program. They're going to focus on lots of different Marketo features, different areas of Marketo. It'll be very technical, sharing screens, going through stuff, not a lot of looking at slides like you're doing right now. Boring. This will be fun and exciting. So you should register for those. The link is in here also when you have the slides. And templates, tokens, and teamwork, how to make your Adobe Marketo Engage content scalable. Also, you could travel back in time to go to this, or probably there's a recording available if you fill out the registration form here. A March 2nd event, probably should have gone in the last month housekeeping slides, not this one, but no matter, I'm sure the recording will be great. Tokenized program templates, all things that are good, things that you probably already use. If not, you should learn about them. And other upcoming Marketo user group meetings, also some that have already happened. Regardless if a meeting has happened or not, this gives you an idea of the mugs that are actively meeting. You can also look in Bevy to see all meetings that are coming up and get registered for those. A lot of these meetings are still virtual, so you can join any of them. Join the Silicon Valley mug, it's virtual. Join the Nordics mug, it's virtual. Emily's North America and she's here, so virtual mug is for everyone. You just might have to get up in the middle of the night to watch it. And Japan, go to the Japan mug. There's the Netherlands mug. It's great. There's plenty of opportunities. Okay, so that's pretty much it. You can also go on G2 Crowd and rate Marketo if you want to. I think you can get $25 if you do that. And I think we talked about this a little bit last time, but if you need to renew your Marketo cert, important note is if you do it before your certification expires, you can do it unproctored and for free. Which is very exciting for every one of us that have paid to do this every year and then every other year, and it's super annoying and the proctor's annoying and everything's annoying. Just don't let it expire. Keep on renewing it for free, unproctored, or be like me and have already let it expire and have to go through the whole thing one more time and then start keeping up with it.
Important note too, it's open book. It's open book. So just took it last Friday.
Wow.
It's a great experience.
What a great, that's a game changer. That's much better. You only have to work hard on this one time and then you have to just not forget too much. Okay, well, that's enough of me talking about nonsense, and I'm going to figure out how to stop sharing my screen if I can find where my Zoom thingy went. And then I'm going to hand it over to our speaker, Emily Poulton, who we are so grateful to have with us today. And she is going to talk about database hygiene in a really fun and sexy way.
Am I? Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me at the North American mug. Hopefully I'm a little bit of a different accent than you're used to. So if I say any weird words, let me know and stop me. The last time I did this presentation was a couple of weeks ago at the London in-person mug, which you're all invited to join at any point, obviously, and virtually. I think our next one's virtual. So there was a lot of eye contact and a lot of people pitching in. So I would really appreciate that again today. So feel free just to share your experiences and how you've done it, because what I'm showing you is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm sure there's many ways of doing things. So that is just my 2 cents at the beginning. I am going to share my screen again and not mess it up. What can you see?
You see the
Good, we see
declutter,
declutter,
like
database
you
and cool stuff. Yeah.
Yay! Check. That's the first stage. Okay, great. I will get started. I can see some of you if you put your hands up and stuff, but feel free to just unmute and stop me. I'm not going to be precious about that. I will encourage it. And I'll pick on people. So
I'll also say, just really quickly, absolutely feel free to unmute yourself and chime in and answer Emily's questions. Like, audience participation, super great. Would love to have it. You are still on the recording, so great. just, don't say anything you don't want to be on the recording. At the end of the slides, though, we will stop the recording and we will have some more time to have like open discussion, Q&A, talk about anything Emily talked about.
Cool. Well, we can definitely do that too. Okay, so first of all, who am I and why am I talking to you? It's a good question. My name's Emily, and I've got about, I think I had to calculate this, 8 years of Marketo experience. I think it will be 9 years very soon, but I thought writing 8.5 sounded a bit childish, so I didn't do that. And I am one of the 3 Marketo user group leaders for the London edition. You may or may not have bumped into me at a summit at some point. I hope I have. That would be lovely to remember that. And I formerly was working for an agency, so I've got lots of experience working with different clients, from small clients to enterprise level, on decluttering their database. So I have experience. I will be using some examples that I have done before, so I'm not just making it all up, but feel free to pitch in, as I said, and add anything that you think would be helpful. Right. So why are we talking about decluttering, and why decluttering? And I don't even know if the word clutter is a North American term, or is it really British? I don't know. But anyway, we'll start with that. The first thing we need to know is, what is clutter before we can declutter. So what I'm saying is database clutter are records in your Marketo instance that are never going to progress down the funnel. They're just clogging up your database. That's what I mean by clutter, if that helps. And so the reason we want to declutter it is because it can create a big problem for you and your organization. Maybe it doesn't, but I think it does. So just for the people who've never heard of Marketo, or who are new to the space, it is a database for marketers. I think just thumbs up if you already know all of that. I'm just for everybody here. And it has its own database, and it's in the, okay, thumbs up. I don't need to say that. It is in the, there is its own database. And when you sign up for Marketo, you'll have your own limit. So you'll be contracted for a specific size. And there are 2 positives to all of our day-to-day activity in Marketo, which is around lead generation. We want more leads, right? The upside is great. We're going to increase the database. We're going to make sales happy. Perfect. But then the downside is, well, we might increase our chance of going over the limit. The database limit, which is going to cost more money. I should have changed that to dollars. Sorry, guys, those are pounds. It's fine. It's still more money that you don't want to be spending. And I know when Adobe was here listening to this, they weren't happy, because obviously they want to sell you more database, but there we go. And so also by having, clutter, having leads that are not doing anything, or records that are not doing anything in the database, is going to reduce your campaign metrics overall, because you're going to be sending emails to people who are bouncing back or just not doing anything. So it just makes your campaigns look not as efficient as they could be. And the question here is, do you know how much the clutter in your database is costing you? So this is for later. So when we share the slides, you can definitely take this exercise and have a starting point of how much clutter you have. But basically you take how many records you have in your database, and I'm just saying 1/3 of them from experience, but obviously it doesn't have to be that much or that little. But then if you take how much it costs you for your Marketo instance annually, you can then basically assume that 1/3 of that is a cost that for clutter. But I think what we're going to do, and what you should do, is once we've gone through these different steps, there'll be there's a purge framework I'm going to share with you, and we can start by looking at how much of your database is clutter, and then you can get that specific number and then use that specific number to calculate the cost. But this is just, rule of thumb here. But that's why there's a try this. We'll try this together, or try this at home, and then you'll have the exact cost there. And importantly, if you don't declutter your database, the cost is just going to get more and more and more because your database is going to increase. So it's something that it's quite good to do to clean up periodically. I don't know how many people on this call are the ones decluttering. I don't know if you do it weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, but everyone had a different answer. I'm sure if you pipe in, you can tell me when you do that, but I think yearly is quite a good thing to do, at least as a minimum, right? Okay, so we've got 12 steps, but it's going to go fast, so don't worry. We'll start with the beginning, which is understanding how much clutter you have, which is basically creating the right lists so that you can see who's in your database and who you want to get rid of. Then we can create a declutter plan and then decluttering. So we'll start with the first steps, which is understanding how much clutter you have. So the first one, which is an easy one here, is understanding who's in your block list. And these people, you can't, they've blocked you, like you can't email them. They've marked you as spam, or at an ISP level they said we don't want to hear from these people, and that's not something you can change without going to the person's IT department, which is a big faff. You probably don't want to do that. So have a look at your block list and get rid of these people. Where is that? So if you go to your database, there is a system smart list, very handy there. Block list, have a look who's in there. And I did go and have a look in the community to see what people were thinking about deleting these people. And the consensus was just delete them. So unless anyone else has a bad example of why, go for it. Is that a hand up, Sally?
Yeah, I have one, and that's just, it was customers who IT department didn't know. We were trying to communicate with them through Marketo. And so we had to go to so we had to make sure that when we were getting rid of BLOCKLIST, we weren't getting rid of customers, and we're working with their IT departments to unblock us.
Whitelist you.
Yes.
Okay, well that's scary, I guess, if there's loads of customers. I guess what you can do is when you look at the list, you can pull SFDC type or any field that you have that would be useful.
Yep.
That's a good point. So maybe don't delete them straight away. Check them first, like Sally, and then delete them if you need. The next set of people are people who have unsubscribed. Don't worry about these icons. They went a little crazy. I just thought it looked like a cross. Don't eat them. So this is when someone has chosen not to receive any marketing emails, or they've opted out. So pretty safe to delete those people, because Marketo will remember who those were. So if they come back, they'll still be unsubscribed. So you don't have to worry about that piece. So there you can go into the system smart list and get the unsubscribe list, but you might have different fields in your instance that shows people that people have unsubscribed. So that's why you can create your own smart list, find all the fields that are relevant there. Could be opted out, could be unsubscribed, whatever, however you've tagged these people. And then you can have a look who you've got there. What I like to do is add the totals there. And I know it's a smart list, and I know it moves all the time, but it's just if you're doing that exercise all together, you've got an understanding of the volume of who's in which bucket, which I find helpful. That's what that 523 is there, just to help. So that's one group. The next group are the dupes. I know Sydney's been posting about dupes all over social, so she knows. And there is a list in the system smart list, so you can go and have a look at those. Very easy. Again, change the view, have a look, see if you've got leads to leads, or contacts to contacts, or leads to contacts, which in my opinion are the hardest ones to merge. And see, what you can do with them. And if you want to do it manually, not that we want to, but sometimes we have to. And I tended to ask more junior people on the team to do that, or you can hire an intern to help you do that. But then the hard part is understanding the rules around which record should supersede which other record when you're merging them, and make sure that's really clear. I'm going to give JTF a little shout out because he sent me some comments on this after the presentation last week, and obviously there's other tools that you can use to dedupe, or like Ringlead or auto merge or JTF's marketing auto merge. But there's many different ways. I'm sure someone's got another system that they've used as well that's helpful, and if you want to share that with the group, great. But this is a big topic, dupes, but definitely a group to investigate when decluttering. I can see some chat comments, but I'm not reading them, so if anybody wants to tell me. Every 6 months, perfect. And then there's some useful reading around deduping in that you can find. Invalid people. So these are the people who, these are email addresses in your database that are non-deliverable. So they can sit there, but you can't email them. So I'd say they're a good group to kind of investigate. There's a really great article that I've put a link there for in the Marketo community about all the different bounce categories, which I love. So I put it there for you. So if you look at anybody who's invalid or who has a bounce category 2, then they should be marked as invalid and potentially purged in there. Then you've got spam and spam traps, or potential spam traps. So how spam, you can find it in many different ways, but for here, I've put some ideas. So anyone who has a bounce category 1 that contains 550, you can then pull the list again of all the bounce categories. So when you've got your leads, you can look at all of the different bounce categories and the details, the bounce details. And then if the email invalid cause contains spam, or the email suspended cause contains spam, or unsubscribe reason contains spam, you can assume that these are spam and add them to your purge list. And then the potential spam traps here is if someone has clicked a link in an email at least 3 times, but they haven't done anything. Are they real? Are they a bot? Who are they? I think that's something that you can look at, and it's quite easy to run. You can see in the second choice here, we just ignored anyone in Salesforce, but you can obviously choose whichever CRM you have, or not have that step, or be a bit more stringent on that. No questions? Cool, I will keep going. No email address. Why are they there? Get rid of them. I can see Chuck's get excited about that one. Thank you. Left company. So this one was an interesting one, because obviously everyone marks people who've left the company in a different way. And maybe there's a different rule. Maybe you want to keep a record. Maybe you don't. It just really depends. So I like this GIF. Anyway, so you could have a field that's called left company. You could have a reason and unqualified that says no longer a company. You could have in the job title, like people are like no longer or gone or leaver, or anything that you can identify to try and find these people. And the 550 reason code as well, I think you can see it's like no longer at the company, or there's a piece in the notes there. But we know that sales love to tag them that way, so it makes it easy sometimes to identify them. I don't know if anyone else has any other ways that they find people who've left that they want to share.
Yeah, usually like a lead status or something that sales uses. That's the best when they actually use it. My other favorite way that they tag it is if they just change their first name to gone, and then you send them an email with first name personalization that says dear gone.
Dear gone.
That's the best.
Oh, in the first name, not just the dot. Oh yeah, I put that name. Yeah, but that's helpful with the lead status. Actually, we can add that in. Thanks, Sydney. And then step 8, which is everything else that you could possibly imagine in one slide. You might have in your company different signals, I'm calling them, or different fields or different ways for you to see if anyone might be worthy of the purge list, let's say. You might have loads of employees in there. You might not want personal email domains. You might have a bunch of test accounts if you're a SaaS business, and every time someone creates a demo, it creates a test account, and then it just clogs up the system. You might have countries that you don't market to. Maybe you're just US based. So you might want to get rid of anyone else who's sneaking in from a different country like me. You might have really junky email addresses. I feel like this one's a bit more manual, but it's possible with a bit of patience, and then, you know, you can run it all the time. You know, if people are testing and they write test, or like ads, don't know how to say that, but you know, when you just put your name on the keyboard. I like looking alphabetically at people who put loads of stars and symbols, or at the end with lots of Zs. So lots of ways to find those. And then if you've got any specific fields and life cycle stages, so I guess this mirrors what you were saying, Sydney, about different like lead stages, that would help you to find people that you don't want in your database. And if you have any other ways, let me know. So though that is how you understand who is in your database. So you can create smart lists for all of those. The next thing is to create your declutter plan. And I did change the order of these because the big important piece here, and everyone's going to nod, is the Marketo and Salesforce sync. And I'm sure everybody here knows that every time that the Salesforce admins / sales teams don't want to delete anything in Salesforce. So understood, that happens everywhere. There are ways around that, but I guess the general consensus is if you delete it in Marketo, you should delete it in Salesforce so that you don't create any sync issues. That is the ideal, but we all know that I don't know if that ever happens. It hardly ever happens. So you should be talking to the right people at your company to understand what you can and can't do and the different considerations. And when I say the people at your company, whoever's in charge, whoever's in charge of the database, I don't know if it's the MOP, maybe it's the MOPS team, maybe it's the Salesforce team, maybe it's an analyst, maybe it's the sales team, whoever you think needs to be, or the database team, or I don't know, whoever you think needs to be in that discussion. And if you do want to create the custom sync, then you need to start by looking if you have the field, and I've put a link there because I'm not going to get too technical right now. And then you might want to keep records that are linked to opportunities directly. So that's something you can put in your filters as well. And also check with your compliance and privacy team, because you might have some rules around what you can do, or if you need to get rid of people in your database who've been there too long. So just that could be another group for you to explore, but I would never do this without speaking to other people who are involved with your database, because then ultimately it could be their decision and then you won't get in trouble if you delete the wrong people. Not that I've done that. Well, maybe not recently. And then I've just put a handy diagram that I had made in the past just to kind of explain the sync and then the risks of breaking the one-to-one sync with a custom sync. I've said sync so many times. So feel free to have a look at that when we send them round. Step 10, are we on step 10 already? Are we on step 10? Yes, great. Step 10, racing through this. So creating the Purge framework. So I just mentioned creating the Purge team. I'm going to start on the right-hand side here. Find the right people. You need the right people so they can sign off on decisions and tell you what to do and not to do, or you can tell them what to do and not to do, and then they can sign it, and then it's all on their heads. That's much better for you. So some ideas of who those people could be. And then I would recommend starting with a document, because then you have some place and some formalized document of all of the different groups that we've created in our smart list and explain what those groups are, so that when you sit down with the team, you can explain and show, okay, we've picked these people for a reason, and if they want to add different filters, you can do that with them and have a discussion and be really specific about the different groups. And then you can, once you've got all of the smart lists that you've made, you can make one master smart list with like purge phase 1, and then you have the unique number there, and then you can add in any compliance fields that you need. And then I'm going to click on this. Hopefully it's going to open it somewhere useful. Yay. It's open for you as just a starting point. It's just everything we talked about, and you can create a document for your team to start with. You can put the starting point that you have of how many records are in the database, and then how many, what the limit is, and then you can start understanding, oh, here you go, your potential purge list. You can start understanding who's in your database based off everything that we talked about. So the duplicates, the block list, the unsubscribes, I've just put everything in there as a starting point. And yep, asking them about breaking the sync. And then we haven't even got to those bits yet. So now I need to find out how I need to get back to my presentation. Oh, here we go. Oh, great. Re-engagement campaign. So I was expecting a question to be like, well, what if we can't delete anyone? What if the team say we shouldn't be deleting anyone, and why? Surely we can get hold of them. The sales teams can get hold of them. Well, yes, but if you can't email them because they're invalid, you know, you could show, I think you can show people in the list of all of the leads, you can show them the detail, and you can show them all the bounce reasons so that they can understand a bit better. But then if they really still want you to email people, then you can, you know, propose some re-engagement campaigns for some of the different groups. And so you might be able to create a list of people who don't have a pulse, no pun intended, here. So for example, people who are in your database who are not doing anything at all. So this is the group, sorry, I should have led with this. This is the group that makes people nervous about deleting. And every time I say, you know, 40% of your database doesn't have a pulse, and then they panic and they're like, no, we can't delete that. So I think this is a good place for you to work with your team and just show them all the different metrics you can use, the different like fields you can use. So, you know, they haven't had any interaction with emails, they haven't had any interesting moments, they haven't visited anything, they haven't had any activity log in Salesforce, for example, they haven't engaged with your chatbot, they haven't engaged with your what's the word, gifting tool, that's it. They haven't done anything with the sales outreach or anything you have in your system that you can measure activity. Create this master list and see who's in there. It might look really scary, but then you can kind of add layers or take away layers based off what the team say. And if they say, okay, well, we can't touch these people, we can't delete them yet, then you can run your re-engagement campaign with these people. And then, I mean, I'm sure everyone's run a re-engagement campaign, and I'm not going to run through that in detail, but it's, you know, find out how many emails you're going to send, you know, how does it feed into your compliance? Oh, there's a question. Deborah, you're on mute. Oh, she's not talking to me. Never mind. How to manage the non-responders, and, you know, how are you going to report back on anyone you brought back to life? That could be a good metric there. But everyone does things differently. I think there's loads of different names for re-engagement campaigns, isn't there? Like Wake the Dead and Sleeping Beauty and whatever you have as names. Can get creative there. So then you know who you've got in your list. You've created your plan. You know what you can and can't do. So you can start decluttering. It's the best bit. It's about creating a deletion process. And again, I can't stress this enough. Get approval on this process before anything happens, and back up everything. So I tend to create a request campaign and I name it really, really carefully so no one accidentally requests it. So make sure it's very clear. And then you just delete the record and you can choose whether you delete it from Marketo or Salesforce. As you know, you can't undo it. I said that again. And send your first group for deletion. And I guess if something bad happens, if you back everything up, then you can reinstate it. But what I would say is if you are backing everything up and downloading things, do not download it to your laptop, download it to your secure work environment. Don't make that mistake, otherwise compliance is going to come knocking. And then hit that button, kaboom, the leads are gone, they're running away. You've decluttered. So just to recap, create all the smart lists, organize the records into groups and review them with the team and the stakeholders, get approvals and purge. It sounds so simple. I know it's not, but I promise you, you'll get there. And that's it from me. I'll stop talking now.
Jackie, you want to stop the recording?
I think that was my last slide. Yeah.